This week's camera might not look that great. It's the Konica C35 AF2, but it holds a special place in my camera collection because this is the family camera that my parents got when they had my brother. The previous version, just the C35 AF, that was the first autofocus camera that was put into production, and this is basically the first kind of true point-and-shoot cameras that had autofocus but had manual film advance. It sort of sits in between the compact rangefinders of the 60s and 70s and the more automated autofocus and motor wind point-and-shoots of the 90s. Just because it's sort of neither here nor there as far as people are concerned, these are sort of underpriced, I think. They are not that popular compared to the rangefinders and the more automated point-and-shoots. So it's a good type of camera to look at if you want a nice bargain. It's a really simple camera, and there's not a whole lot to say about it. So this is going to be kind of a short video, I think. So overall, the size and the weight are a little bit heavier than something like a Konica Big Mini. It's a little bit taller, it's a little bit wider, and it's definitely thicker because the lens doesn't retract. This is something that you could maybe fit into a coat pocket, but not your shirt pocket or your pant pocket or anything like that. And this kind of point-and-shoot was basically the last kind of camera that always came with the ever-ready case, which I think is pretty convenient because you could just throw that into your shoulder bag or whatever and have it with you and have it protected, and you don't need to have a camera bag with you or anything like that. So even though it's bigger, I think it's still pretty convenient, especially when you have this ever-ready case to protect it. Overall, it is kind of plasticky feeling, and it makes sounds when it rattles. So it doesn't have the highest quality feeling, but it's mostly held up pretty well over the years. So I guess the first thing I can show you is that the shutter button, it kind of has sort of a springy feel to it. It makes this springy sound when you press it. It makes a squeak and all that. And when you press it down all the way, it doesn't sound that great. It has like a sort of a ratchety sound to it, even though it's just the leaf shutter. I think it's because of the autofocus mechanism. The film advance has a nice standoff point, and then it's pretty smooth and makes a nice ratchety, clicky sound when you advance it. Pretty plasticky kind of feeling, but secure. The shutter, that's not necessarily the most elegant sound or anything like that. But the nice thing is that there's no on button, and you don't have to have the lens come out like the later point-and-shoots. It also has the convenience of being autofocused, so you don't have to focus it. And it focuses really fast too, so you don't really need to worry about missing the moment when you're shooting quickly. So like this whole the gestalt of how it operates, it's a pretty nice camera, I think. So even though the shutter doesn't sound that great. Let's see. So the viewfinder, it has a red light that comes on when it thinks you should turn on the flash. And the size compared to the big mini, it's basically the same size, really. This has a very strong blue cast in the viewfinder, but it's pretty bright. And when the red light turns on, you should turn on the flash probably. This one doesn't work anymore, but the switch feels pretty good. When this charges, it makes that sort of high-pitched sound, electrical sound, as a capacitor charges. It's actually pretty strong, and I like how far away from the lens is. It tends to look pretty nice. So I don't know how much it would cost to have this repaired, but I think I kind of want to spend the money just because it has sentimental value. And after all that, what could I say? Oh, the self-timer dial. So let's see how long it takes. The shutter button stays down until it trips the shutter. There it goes. And then the button comes up. So on the lens, you have this ring around the lens, all these bumps on it to change the film speed. It doesn't feel that great, really. It's really stiff on mine. So, click, ugh, terrible. Yeah, it feels pretty stiff on mine. Might not be like that on all of them, but it goes from ISO 25 to ISO 400, and it has half stops in between. That's actually one of the nice things about this sort of generation of point and shoots. It doesn't have DX coding. You can pull or push the film however you want within limits. It only goes up to 400, I guess. But and the flash, it's manually triggered. It doesn't go off unless you want it to. So the lack of sophistication is nice because it's not thinking for you necessarily, aside from setting the exposure and focus for you. I do like that the autofocus doesn't make any sound at all. When you take a picture, the lens retracts a little bit, and then when you advance it, it returns to its original position, but it doesn't make any sound at all, I think. Which is pretty cool. So there's no weird electrical motor wearing away to get the focus. And let's see, so the back, a nice latch, I guess, a solid door, whatever. And after that, let's see, you have the button down here, nice click, and then you can rewind the film with this rewind crank. It's kind of thin, but it doesn't feel like it's going to snap off or anything. And the little knob could be bigger. I wish it was a little bit bigger. And when you turn it, it has sort of sort of a dry sound to it. So it's not like a super high quality camera, but it gives you nice pictures and it's kind of fun to use. Overall, the operation is pretty cool. Gives you more manual controls, more direct manual control, and you always know what it's going to do. You don't have to worry about it doing things you don't want it to do. So, you know, this kind of camera, I think they should be more popular. If you don't want to spend a whole lot of money on a nice point and shoot that, you know, isn't too much of an inconvenience to carry around with you. It's pretty good camera to look for. They don't look that pretty necessarily. They're sort of clunky looking. But I guess that's part of its charm, I guess. So that's it for this week. Hope you liked it. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a nice week.